Hello, good morning. Ahoy there. No video last week, and I thought I'd show you the reason why. I thought I'd show you the reason why there wasn't a video made last week, and it's because of this little hermit here, Holly, who's our guard dog. Hello, darling. Who's absolutely adorable, most gorgeous dog in town, who decided she was going to keep everyone in the block up all night long by barking all night. And as you know, I like to get up and do these videos before it gets too hot, and well, before it gets too late. And she literally barked all night. I looked out the window, by the way, to see what she was barking at, and it seemed to be she was barking at some flies. So there was no peril whatsoever, but she did a very good job protecting us from some blue bottles. And so she's going to get her breakfast now too. Here you go, darling. That's some breakfast. There you go. Oh, you gorgeous. So because of that, and I know it's a feeble excuse, but it's the one I've got. Because of that, let's get through the gate now. See you later, darling. I couldn't sleep all night. She literally barked from sundown till sunup, and off she went. Bark, 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 and it's a really high-pitched bark she does, like a car alarm. And so I couldn't sleep, and so it got round to when I'd normally get up at about 5, and well, I didn't. I just slept all the way through. Which way should we go? We went that way last time. Go this way. There's some dudes in a tractor. They're all off to work. So yeah, so I couldn't do it. And I woke up at about, I don't know, 7:30, nearly 8 o'clock, which is way too late for me, but it was actually quite nice. Nice to have a... Does it count as a lie-in if you haven't slept at all? I suppose it still does. But it was just late for me, and made a coffee and then started knocking about a little bit, and then went out on the balcony to gauge the temperature, and oh man, it was hot. It was just too hot. I thought, I'm not walking around in this doing a film. So there you have it. That's why I didn't do it last week. Not that I feel like I need to explain it, but I do. And the rains still haven't come. The monsoon has been held off, so everyone's a little bit tetchy about it. People are complaining because it's unseasonally hot, and it's a weird heat. It's like it wants to rain. The skies are grey, they're pregnant with rain, but it's not happening, and so there's this weird moisture in the air. So it's a peculiar sensation, whereas normally it feels like walking around in an air fryer here. This is like walking around in a kind of a boiling pot. Odd. But nonetheless, out we are before it gets too unpleasant. And I thought I'd just do a little local walk this week, like we did the first week. And they've repaved this road here. I'll show you. They did this, like, they dug it all up. And this is the market opposite where I live. And it looks like some kind of an explosion has happened, but they did this road in a matter of, it was weird, it just appeared in about 3 days. It was like a gravelly, muddy pit for ages, and then all of a sudden disappeared really quickly. So yeah, this is early morning marketplace. As you can see, the stalls haven't quite opened yet. They're all ready to, they will be open soon though. It gets quite busy around here. You get quite a lot of locals, a lot of travelling people come round. Hello, good morning. Lots of the dogs come out. The dogs come out because they know a lot of the traders set up, and they chuck a bit of food their way. And also, I've still got some of the food in my pocket for Holly there, so they'll smell that, so we might get a bit of company. And coming around here, yeah, this is what the whole road looked like until quite recently. This was the whole street, and then in just a matter of days they built that. This is the These are all barber shops, believe it or not. They look like huts, but you get a barber in each one of them. And here's the fruit and veg stall. That's actually where I buy my fruit and veg from. And some furniture guys, they make all the furniture around here. So, no video last week, as I keep saying, so I thought I'd do something productive last week instead, and I stayed in and watched the Cannonball run, 1981 film. I like to keep my finger on the zeitgeist, with Burt Reynolds. Don't know if you've seen the Cannonball run. If you haven't, I'd recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great film. Basically, it's about a car race all the way across America, as they put it, from sea to shining sea, to go from one side to the other. And it's a comedy, but it's a stupid knockabout comedy. And I was quite enjoying it, and Dom DeLuise is very good in it. He plays a superhero called Captain Chaos. And Marvel should really get involved with that and make a Captain Chaos film. But there's a bit in it right at the end, and it kind of got me to thinking about what I'm doing, where Burt Reynolds' character, it's a questionable film. It is a questionable film because he meets this character. Here's the cows coming out for their breakfast. See where the market traders set up. As you can see, look, the dogs come out and eat what's left, and the cows come out and eat the scraps. It's the circle of life. Hello, Daisy. I'm secretly a bit scared of these because they have no bad intent, but they're big and they're strong. And I always worry that if they just twitch their heads as I walk past them, I'll get nervous. They've got these bloody great big horns on their heads. Look, I mean, this one here is cantering along, getting out of the way of cars, but if he was to get nervous, I could get impaled on that horn, wouldn't I? So I tend to give him a little bit of a wide berth, but foolishly, I think by saying good morning Daisy to them as I walk past, they would know that I'm all right and leave me alone. But morning, Daisy. They are a bit twitchy. Whee! Yeah, that lady's reprimanding that one for being a bit flighty. So this is like the side. Oh, there's my mate there. I recognise that shriek. Oh, he's hiding. So yeah, I digress. Back to Cannonball Run. So yeah, it's questionable. There's bits in it that you think you wouldn't get away with that these days. There's bits that are outwardly extremely sexist and racist. But it's a sweet film, and I don't think it's intended to be mean-natured. For example, there's a bit in it where Burt Reynolds meets Farrah Fawcett, who was like the beauty of the day. And he meets her, and instead of asking her name, he starts guessing her name. And he comes up with all these different names, and she says, no. And so then he says, I'm going to call you Beauty. And he just decides he's not going to ask her name anymore, he's just going to call her Beauty. And he calls her Beauty for the rest of it. Now, in fairness, she could have said, well, actually, my name's Wendy or something, but she doesn't. And she just lets him call her Beauty for the rest of the film. And yeah, you wouldn't get away with that these days, would you? It just wouldn't work. But it was Burt Reynolds, and he is immensely charming. But the point I'm making is, towards the end of the film, she says, why do you live this crazy life, J.J. McClure, as his name is? Why do you live like this? And he says, let me tell you, baby, well, Beauty. He says, my dad worked really hard all his life, and he paid into the system, and he did everything you're supposed to do. And the only thing he was looking forward to was retirement. And that got my ears pricking up, because I thought, well, that's all I'm doing is waiting for retirement. He said, hey, what are you doing around here? Okay. Yeah, really see you up there, man. Hey. He makes the nicest juices, that guy. And he's got a little stall. He's obviously loading up with his oranges. He'll go up there and make a juice later. They are nice. Weird that they call you sir. He knows my name. But what was I going to say? Yeah. So he says, oh, my dad paid into the system all his life, behaved himself, did everything he's supposed to do, and then died 3 days before retirement. Just before retirement, 3 days. And it got me thinking, you know what? Who would have thought that a stupid film like Cannonball Run, which I do recommend watching, would have a moment of such poignancy right near the end like that as well? And I thought, yeah, you're right, J.J. McClure. Obviously do pay into the system and do what you're supposed to do, but this whole thing, I mean, I think every man in my family has died before retirement. They tend to, about 64, they knock it on the head, which is what got me in the first place, saying, I'm not doing that. I'm well, for one thing, they all smoked and drank. But it got me thinking, I'm not living like that. I'm not just going to be a wage slave and pay into this and just go along with the game and then just die. I don't want to do that. I want to live. Essentially, that's what we all want, isn't it? We all want to live. But I want to live my life. I want to live a bit of life before the inevitable. And so that was the whole thing in the first place, of me saying I'm retiring, as they say, young. I don't think it is. I think we all should retire in our 50s. And I had someone talking to me recently, and they were saying, can you afford that? And weirdly, ordinarily, when someone says anything like that, I don't tend to listen to people anyway, really, which gets me into a lot of problems. But things like that, because I kind of normally would think, I'm not invested in you and you're not invested in me. We're not friends or relatives. So I'd just go, yeah, and that would be the end of it. But on this account, I don't know why, but they said, oh, you're retiring, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And they said, can you afford that? And I don't know if it was the tone they said it, I don't know if it was what, or maybe the mood I was in. But I obviously said, yeah. I was like, yeah, I can afford it, yeah. And then they kept probing a little bit more. They were like, so what, have you got like another income? And obviously it's none of their business. So I was just going, yeah, I'm alright, yeah. Well, but when I walked off, and I was quite embarrassed about this, but when I walked off, I did start thinking, can you do this? Can you afford this? Are you what? And it took me a few days of thinking, oh, this isn't right. This isn't right. There's a reason. Exhaust. There's a reason that they do that on purpose. There's a reason everyone does the same thing. The path well trodden is well trodden for a reason. You start thinking all these things like, oh, come on, knock this on the head, mate. You're being silly. Keep working, keep knocking on. And of course that's a really sort of, that expression that I don't like, give me head a wobble. But it's a really sort of have a word to myself. Like, no, you are doing this. You're going around for 2 bloody years saying everything I'm doing is for retirement and every penny I don't spend is going in my retirement pot. And then all of a sudden one person who doesn't mean anything to me makes a comment and you go, oh yeah, maybe not. And you think, well, if that's the strength of your conviction, mate, maybe you need to have a bit of a serious look at yourself. And I was actually quite annoyed with myself about that I'd let that happen. And then of course when you start thinking through it, you think, hang on a minute, I don't care for that person at all. I don't care for their opinion. But more importantly, they don't care for me. They don't even like me, and I know they don't. They potentially are sabotaging something that they can't do, which is quite a common and popular. This is the local Sikh temple, it's the local Gurdwara. It gets really busy around here. All the Sikhs come in and out and they pray there. Hey buddy. I've never been in. I come past it quite a lot and they're always super friendly, and usually if it's busier, if they see you standing there looking at it, they start saying, hey, come in, have a look. And the one down the road has got like, it's just stunning. This one's still being built, but yeah, they're very keen to show you. Hey, sorry man. Poor man trying to do a 3-point turn and he's me standing next to him. He looked like he was struggling with that. Yeah, so as I say, these people that say these things to you, like, oh, are you sure about that? And it's the same with anything. If you're trying to set up a business, which I've done before, and people come up and go, oh, you sure? And I'll tell you what, they disguise it as being helpful. So when I was setting up a business, someone really helpfully came up and said, oh, you do realise that even though you're a new business, you've got to pay half of next year's tax this year? And I said, oh, well, I don't think I can afford that. And they went, oh, well, you probably can't afford to do it then. Now, if the next line from that person isn't something like, but don't worry, I can show you how to do it, or don't worry, you know, this is what happens, then they're not on your side, are they? They're trying to sabotage what you're doing. And it's, I hate to say it, but it's jealousy. They think, there's someone doing something I'm not brave enough to do, and whatever that may be, I'm going to try and sabotage it, because it's easier to do that to make me feel better than it is to at least say to the person, hey, you know what, good luck to you. And I think if you're not the sort of person who, when someone's doing something, even if it's of no interest to you, that says good luck to you, you're not that great a person. And you can kid yourself up all your life and go, no, I'm just trying to be objective. You're probably not being very nice. So think about that sometime. And I got quite a bit of that. And I've not had much of it over the retirement. And I think it's because I don't tend to tell too many people. And most people that I tell are actually quite interested in it. They say, like, you know, oh wow, you know, what are you going to do? That's more about the thing that's more what they want to know is, you know, what are you going to do after this? Because you're just going to retire and sit around watching whatever's on the telly these days. I don't know, Judge Judy or something. And of course I'm not. I'm going to carry on travelling. But this person saying that really did, for about 3 days, have me thinking, oh, can I afford this? Can I afford this? And really, when you boil it down, and I know everyone's circumstances are different, but yeah, of course I can, and that's why I thought of doing it in the first place. But I mean, can I afford to retire and live like, oh look at this, they say every landing you can walk away from is a good one. Bloody hell. To be fair, it doesn't look like a fresh incident, does it? But where there's blame, there's a claim. Yeah, I mean, everyone's circumstances are different, and I'm not saying that everyone would want to live like I do. So I'm quite happy to live with very minimal belongings, which I'm in the process of getting rid of, and the bare minimum of income, which I've done. I've worked out what's the sweet point between income and outgoing that I can be on, and I've worked that out pretty much to the penny. And it's not actually that much. It really isn't that much, because, you know, I don't live a fancy life anyway. I don't want to. Those things don't appeal to me, and I don't want them. So it's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. And you'd probably be quite surprised if you look at your own life. And I know it's different if you've got kids and things like that, which I don't. It's easy for me to say on some things. But even then, I think if you readjust your want and readjust your need, I think you'd be surprised how little you actually need, and how much you want, and how much you can get by on a lot less than you thought. A lot of the lumber that we have that I always go on about, throw the lumber overboard, let your boat of life be light. A lot of that lumber that you have, well, as I've always maintained, I'm just keeping that until it goes in landfill. You know, I'm way past halfway through my life now, so I look at these things I've accumulated and I think, how much of this am I going to want? How much of this how many times am I going to read that book again or listen to that? Have I still got CDs? I don't know, I doubt it. But probably 3, 4 tops. Get rid of it, give it to a younger person. That's what I've been doing, giving it to younger people that will enjoy it as much as I did. And I get a real buzz out of doing that. So I don't want or need them, but when you actually assess the whole concept of want and need, it occurred to me a little while ago. Do you want your wants? By which I mean, these things that we want, and these things that we feel like we need, is this my want? Is this my want? Or is this a want that society has put upon me? So, hey man. So, for example, like the whole thing of having kids, getting married, settling down, and living that conventional nuclear family life. I don't mean who wants that as in, who wants that? Is that a basic human want? Or is it that we've been told to want that? And just like with everything else in the world, where we must have this certain thing. I was saying to someone the other day, I said, I feel like if the media or if society put out a thing saying, oh, of course, all successful people and all decent people and all good people paint their houses pink. Every room in the house pink. And that's how you can tell that someone's good and decent and really going places, is they have a pink house. Every room. Pink, pink, pink. And they kept pushing that. Eventually, and then all you'd have to say is, oh, and by the way, they're running out of pink paint. There'd be a queue all the way around the block down at B&Q or the paint store to get some pink paint. because you convince people this is what they want, this is what they need, and if you want to be seen and perceived as this is what you've got to do. There's no need for that. It's like, that guy's nowhere near it. But this is what you need to do. And we go for it. We're like, I used to do it. I didn't go down the whole kids route, but I used to be a bit like that. You'd be like, oh, right, okay. Oh, well, better do that then. You know, get a proper job was the biggest one I fell for. You know, you'd be like, well, I prefer to do this sort of thing. Not, you know, there'd be something you'd prefer to do, but it'd be like, yeah, but you've got to get a job. You've got to get a proper job. And I fell for that most of my adult life, thinking, oh, well, and I was terrible at most of these jobs. Terrible. Wasn't interested. Had difficulty learning the rules and regulations of most. Most I didn't know what I was doing. I used to just make it up as I went along. But I fell for it. And now I kick myself. I look back at 52 now and I think, what the bloody hell was I playing at? Like, if I'd have just done one of the things I wanted to do and stuck with it, that's the other thing, and I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, but not sticking with things is that's the one constant in my life, is not sticking with things. But we fall for these things, we fall for these traps, and... Hey my man, how you doing? We fall for these things. And we go along with it thinking like, well, it's what we want, isn't it? It's what we need, it's what we all want. I mean, I've had it from people when I was younger, like, you know, pressuring me to have kids. They say like, well, you've got to do it, haven't you? You've got to do it. We've all had to do it. I've actually had that said to me. We've all had to do it. And you think, well, I'm really glad that I stuck to my guns with it. So, well, I'm not. I'm really not. I didn't like my childhood. Why would I put it on someone else? And so I didn't, and I'm glad. But that wasn't my want. And so I was able to stick to that. Luckily, when I was younger, I was single most of the time anyway, so it wasn't like I was, you know, I had someone that was begging me to have kids with them, because they didn't have that anyway. And who's to say? If I was with someone that wanted kids, maybe I would have done, and now we're talking very differently, because obviously you've got to love them. But do we want it? Is it our want? And it's the same as with retiring. Like, when people say, well, you've got to keep working, you can't just stop, can you? Because, and there's all these fears they come up with, like, you know, oh, well, if you stop working, you'll just die. You'll just sit in a chair and you have nothing to do, and you start losing your mind because you're not occupied. And you think, well, these things aren't external, are they? All these things. It's not like, well, oh, okay, yeah, well, I've retired now, so no one's telling me what to do, and no one's telling me when to wake up, and no one's telling me how to occupy 8 hours of my life every day and fill me with stress and anxiety and dread and bullying me and giving me a really miserable time of it. Oh no, what am I going to do now? Well, of course it's not, is it? You fill your own time, and if you're not able to do that, then I'd suggest put things in place which enable you to do that. Get a hobby, get an interest. We've all got something that makes us want to be, makes you want to get up and do something. And if you haven't, there's a whole world out there. Find something that sparks you, find something that makes you feel like you were 10 again, and go, here he is, he's the guy. This is my buddy. Hey, how you doing, man? I usually have for you, I don't have for you today. I'll come round later. He lives and works around here that day. His whole family work on this market. They're all like his cousins and sisters. And his job, he goes around with a big trash bag and he picks up a lot of the rubbish from around here and tidies it up. He's got a younger brother, and they both do the same thing. They're the most endearing people. And his relatives all look out for him. The people all around the stores around here keep an eye out for him. And people like me, who are a bit soppy, whenever we pass him, we give him a bit of money. And I know I'm not alone in doing it, because I see loads of other people giving him, it's only like £1. But enough of us doing that. He also gets paid. There's like a residents association here that pays him. Not a huge amount, but he gets paid. And we pay him. And he's looked after. And I saw someone giving him some books the other day that he was really appreciative of, and he sat down on a wall. It's quite heartwarming, to be honest with you, when you see that sort of community spirit happening. There's a sweet shop over there, Come Bakers, and I was their regular customer. I was going in there like more than I should, and they did the most amazing little sweets called gulab, and there's these square ones, I forget the name of them now, but I was buying them much too regularly. And oh, there goes my mate with his fruit stall. So let's have a look there. That's his stall there. He'll go and set that up now and squeeze all those oranges and make orange juice for all the local workers. This is into the market here. So yeah, you can do what you want, and as long as it's like your want. It doesn't have to be the want. I think you have to assess it. If it is your want, if you want what everybody else wants, then fair play to you. You've knocked onto something there. You can probably have a blessed and happy life. But if it isn't, and you have to, I think, assess yourself sometimes. So, is this my want? Is this what I want in the world? Or would I prefer something else? And I know some people will say, well, it's too late for me. But again, adjustment. Adjust your surroundings, adjust what you're doing. But you get one go at this. You get one life, you get one crack at it. Hey, how you doing, man? You only go round once. So at least make some of it enjoyable, and at least make some of it, or most of it if you can, as pleasurable and as fulfilling as you can. And be kind to you. And take out the things from it that aren't adding to that. And if they're not adding to it, just eliminate. By this I mean things like alcohol, drugs, negative people, negative friends. Have a good assessment and a good evaluation sometimes and say, do I want this? Do I want this in my life? And if the answer's 100% no, or even less than 100%, maybe remove them. Maybe move on and have a better time of it without them, which you certainly can do. But want is it's a subjective and funny thing. And ultimately, I want to be free. I want to live a life that I feel that at the end of it I can look back on and say, well, good or bad, I did that on my terms. Good or bad, that went according to my tiller. Not because I was too scared, not because I was too anxious and nervous to stop going to a job that would replace me in a heartbeat if I died at my desk and has no care or investment or love for me. I don't want that, and I wouldn't feel proud of myself if it got to the end and I was like, oh well, at least I stayed in the same job forever and just stayed there and just kept ploughing away at a horrid field. So that's what I want, and I'm living the life I want. So it might not be the most successful of lives, it might not be the most economically fruitful of lives, but it's my life and it's the one I want and it's the one I'm going to lead. So I would suggest, take a look at your own and say, do I want this? All the things I've got around me, the people I've got around me, the job I've got, and the end thing on it. Have you got an end date? Have you got a schedule on this? Or are you just going to plod along, have 18 months off at the end and die, which is what most people I know have done? I don't want that. I've so many people I know that I've worked with are now dead. And how long did they get at the end? 2 years? That's not for me. That's not what I'm all about. I want to live a bit. So anyway, I hope that wasn't too gloomy a walk. I'm back home now. I only went round the block. I'm going back out again later. But I hope that wasn't too gloomy, but it was just something I wanted to get off my chest. Do you want your want? And if you don't want it, maybe change your want. Find a new want. So, I'll be back next week. Don't know where we'll go. I normally say where we're going and I don't go there. But until next week, thank you for tuning in. As always, it's been a pleasure walking with you. And thank you very much, and always walk tall.